Hi there, this is Lee McQueen, and this is my last broadcast from the Green Party Convention here at the University of Houston in Texas. Most of the events have concluded, and as you can see behind me, there's no roar of background noise, so sound should be coming in pretty good. I want to say that the excitement and the energy and the hope and inspiration was just bouncing off the walls, and I was so glad to be part of that whole adventure. There were workshops and receptions and gatherings and conversations and meetings. People were discussing the Green Party itself, of course, but also getting down to the nitty gritty because the general election has begun, the campaign for the general election. Jill Stein has officially won her primary. She has officially chosen her vice president, Ajamu Baraka, and that was by a majority to acclaim of the crowd and roars and whistles and standing ovations. And I'm sure most of you have probably seen that on live stream, but it was just terrific being in the building and seeing history in the making. For anyone who's interested in public affairs or political science, it was amazing to see it in action. What I noticed that was dissent was allowed, and there was dissent. Um, it was spoken, it was addressed, it was answered according to procedural rules, and then things moved on, moved forward. And so there was no shutting down or dissent. There was democracy in action. People decided they would be democratic, not just in name, but also in process. And so that was what democracy looked like. So now discussion from the Green Party has turned to the ground game, the social media activism, fundraising, and getting out the vote, and things like that. And so people are starting up that aspect of the whole election season. Um, I wanted to come here myself just to see if I could get a first-hand view of misunderstandings that have been perpetrated by the mainstream media, similar to what happened with Bernie Sanders' campaign. There are several misstatements that are coming out through mainstream media that I hope that I've disproven with my videos. One, that there are no down ballot candidates in office or running for office. That's false. I came here and I was just running into them. They're all over the place. Down ballot candidates, and I spoke to them. I met with them. I ate with them. I interviewed them, and I shared that interview with you. And hopefully there may be more, or at least we can look up their social media information to find out more about them that way. The other misunderstanding that I decided that I wanted to understand firsthand was that the Green Party organization is white, privileged, fringe, a certain class, and that they only cared about the trees. In fact, that they care more about trees than people, or animals than people. And I found that to not be the case. When I came here, I found um, people of all races, not just supporters, but actual candidates running for office, including Jill Stein, Vice President Ajamu Baraka, who is African American and very much involved with the world community from a humanitarian standpoint. Jill Stein has clearly indicated the direction she wants the Green Party to go, humanitarianism, and that's her vice president. If you ask or if there's any question, your answer is Ajamu Baraka. But Jill Stein has always been involved with that. Even before she found her vice presidential pick, she's spoken out about the drug war, the need for education, the need for health care, being a doctor herself. She's very people focused. So the second or even the first answer to that question is Jill Stein. So when I got here, I saw down ballot candidates who reflected Jill Stein's vision, including her choice of her vice president. Down ballot candidates from all across the United States, all races, all colors, all religions. Just the fact that they followed the four values of the Green Party, and it appeared to me that they did. And those interviews are on my channel as well. Everyone from California to Ohio to New York to Florida and the Midwest, Ohio, points in between, the flyover states, they're Green Party members. And wherever they're able on the ballot, they're running for office. So some of the people that were on the agenda also reflect Jill Stein's vision. Cornel West, Yane Indigo, um, Ajamu Baraka, they all had prominent speaking opportunities, prominent places on the agenda and on the platform. So that's the Green Party. If anyone asks the question, it is what it is. Maybe not what the mainstream media wants you to believe that it is, but just you can look for yourself and you can see for yourself. I wanted to point out Elijah Manley, a 17-year-old African American who ran for president opposite Jill Stein, and that he felt, excuse me, that he felt comfortable enough to do that with the Green Party. That he also was allowed to speak and to articulate his point. He was given the floor in several venues. He spoke during press conference. He spoke at the nominating convention, and he said what was on his mind. A 17-year-old African American male was given the floor, and he was listened to. And not only that, he was applauded for a long time for his remarks that he made, and that was the Green Party. And so that was that. And I also noted a lot of respect for Bernie Sanders. There's respect for Bernie Sanders in the Green Party, not only coming from Jill Stein, and then also the down ballot candidates. They know that they owe a debt to Bernie Sanders. The Green Party had been working on similar programs and issues and platforms as Bernie Sanders, but it was Bernie Sanders who provided um, the who was the vanguard, and in fact, he was the lightning rod. He opened the door, and he pulled progressive issues from the margins to the national stage. He normalized it, and what he made everyone realize is that it is normal to want affordable health care and education and housing. There's nothing wrong with that. Just wanting to live, not just survive, but to live a good life. And why shouldn't everyone be allowed to do that? And so, definitely the Green Party does owe a debt of thanks to Bernie Sanders. They know that and they express that to his supporters, especially, but to him as well. And if there's ever a way that there can be found for a combined effort or some cooperation or coalition, even at the top, in some manner, I think that would be welcome. But definitely the supporters, the grassroots, have combined their efforts. There has been a marriage of Bernie Sanders supporters with the Green Party campaign. And it's real and it's concrete, and it's pushing Jill Stein ever forward. Jill knows that she is receiving the groundswell, the energy from a combined effort of progressives across the political spectrum. Bernie Sanders was able to win Republicans into his coalition. He won libertarians, he won independents, he won unaffiliated, he won people who did not even want to participate in the political process. They decided to do that for Bernie Sanders, and then the Progressive Democrats. And so now that coalition is starting to congeal around Jill Stein. So Jill Stein wants the 70% of independents in her coalition. She wants every vote, but she's targeting that 70% of independents who are unaffiliated, who were Bernie supporters, who supported the progressive platform that is now solidly inside Jill Stein's campaign. That's what she wants. She wants every vote. She wants every state. She's saying she wants the White House to become a greenhouse. So there's a lot of joy at the Green Party in receiving the time, energy, and support of Bernie Sanders supporters, and that the disgust with the Republican and Democratic parties has grown under the leadership of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. The Green Party also has respect for the Libertarian Party and what they're trying to do. And then, in fact, Jill Stein and Gary Johnson have combined their efforts at getting into the debates. They're both working on ballot access and things like that, equal time in the media. But the Green Party, while they acknowledge that there are some similarities, that there are differences, that the Libertarian Party is also a corporate funded party, and that they are pro deregulation in business. Julian Assange spoke via live stream from the Ecuador consulate. He was hailed as a hero by the Green Party for what he has done to increase transparency around our political process. Julian Assange also spoke about Chelsea Manning's torture, which likely led to her suicide attempt, and how that was not what he really wanted to happen or to see. And so how that is unfortunate, the way the Obama administration has responded to whistleblowers, people who leak information, who want a democracy to be a democracy. So Adamu Baraka also recognized the Green Party's past work. He also spoke about the fear mongering that's been happening in the media. I call it gaslighting, and also psychological warfare. Mr. Baraka said he was honored to run on the Green Party ticket with Jill Stein, and that those Jill Stein and Adamu Baraka signs are coming to yards near you very soon. So also Jill Stein spoke at length on the Green Party platform, and there's a live stream video of her events that have been recorded that you can probably click on somewhere on YouTube or from her Green Party page. She spoke about the Green Party platform, her issues, and then her future focus for the Stein and Baraka campaign. And again, she always acknowledges her debt to Bernie Sanders. She's ready to debate, and so is Adamu Baraka, who's ready to debate on the issues. And Jill Stein is also recognizing that she's receiving attacks from the media, and she takes it as meaning that her campaign is doing what it needs to do, and that stand as a vanguard for the progressive movement. I believe that she can weather these attacks, and so far she has. But in my view, I think these attacks on Jill Stein are attempts to divert attention from the mass incarcerator who imprisoned 2 generations of African American men and women, who enriched herself from impoverished Haitians, and who has participated in the destruction of entire countries on the continent of Africa, and who has driven Honduras into a military coup, which has resulted in deaths of activists in Honduras and a mass influx of refugees from Honduras. Mainstream media is also trying to ignore the executioner who presided over 11 executions while governor of Virginia. The mass incarcerator and her executioner want to bring Trans-Pacific Partnership as well. They are desperate and thirsty for TPP. And so is Barack Obama, who is also desperate and thirsty for a Trans Pacific Partnership. The more he speaks about the Trans Pacific Partnership, the worse Hillary Clinton's polling is, and the higher her unfavorability rating goes. And so we've seen so many things happening during Bernie Sanders' campaign, and the Greens are using that as a blueprint for their method of going forward and for best practices. And so, in that way, they also owe a debt of thanks to Bernie Sanders for showing how to navigate through the torturous and twisted waters of our political season. But that's the status of the Green Party. There's action, there's ways forward, there's procedures. People are excited, they're motivated, they're energized, and they want the White House. They want the governor's house. They want the U.S. Congress. They want the Senate. They want the mayors. They want the state representatives. And I think that they're going to get quite a few of them, probably more than people expect.